going into the front sections, we will continue with pie sectioning. Start at your radial. The reason we want to start at the radial because we knew we had a really good guide there, and it's just going to have more ease. Always ensure you have part of that previous cut section in there to ensure you're on track. Here is my guide. So I will hold this at 90, measure, take half that out, I'm measuring it, cut. And the last part around the ear, remember, we have a little bit of hair in front of that radial. So what we're going to do with the front section, we're going to slightly pull it back and up to ensure the ear does not get a hole cut in it. Always remember, when you cut your section, take half of it, leave it out, and you're going to move half of it forward into your next section. That's why we will always have a guide in there. And as you go through the haircut, you may not have to measure as much because you're seeing that continual guide all the way through the haircut. Hold it 90 from the head shape. And if you're ever having your doll lean forward, always be aware of the position of your mannequin's head. Measure this. I come down to the ear. Do you see? I'm lining up. If I get down to the ear and I'm not lining up, then we need to reevaluate and see what's happening. Take half of your section, add another ½ inch from it, always originating from the pivot. Begin at the top, center, combing it at 90 degrees, directly on top of the section, and you're always going to end up with that perimeter that you previously cut come in. Take half of that section, add another ½ inch from your radial, from your the uncut section. Begin at your pivot, hold it at 90, and as you go through, you'll see most of the time the first part of each section is already cut because of the pivot. 90 degrees, cut, and ensure that we're matching up with the perimeter. Take half of that, add another ½ inch to it. Right now we're on top of what we would normally call a recession. So let's see how that looks when we get to the perimeter. Anytime we have a recession, there may need to be over direction so that we do not get holes in our perimeter. So let's see how this looks. So it's slightly up, but always ensure you have your previously cut and you are not going to cut the perimeter. Take half of that again. We're nearing our profile 1 inch, so we have to ensure that we're going to measure up there too. So as we go, cut, add in, always palm your shears. There's my guide. Cut through, and then I want to go right back and take some of the hair from the original guide to see if I'm on track here. Once you finish this section, we cross-check opposite. So we did pie, so we're going to go to the extreme opposite, take diagonal back sections, comb the hair out at 90 degrees, and you will see we have that curving line that's giving us that round layer and it's cut rounded to the head shape. Now we're going to begin on the front right side. I need to start at the radial, so I'm going to stand in front of my mannequin to begin this side. If your parts need to be cleaned up as you go through, just reestablish those so you can organize the hair. I start at my radial. A lot of times the first section you pull up, you may not see your guide. If you don't see the guide, just go back a little further. Until you know you have that previous guide in there. There's the guide now. Even if it's just your radial, the first part you pull up, then just pull that up and ensure that you're on the right track and you're holding everything the correct way. So take half of that, add a ½ inch. When I'm standing in front of the mannequin, I still need to ensure that I'm not over directing this one way or the other. So you're kind of standing to the front side of her. Guide. A lot of people will try to hold too small of sections, and if you do that, it's hard to keep this even. So if you come in here and hold a small little piece and cut it and take half of that out and add a little teeny piece to it, it's very hard to know if you're staying with your guide. So I like you to hold the hair fully all the way through your finger, but stop cutting at your second knuckle, and you know your line is correct. Walk it down through the section. Take half. When you near your original profile guide, take small enough sections that you know you're measuring and you're going to match up in the front. Sometimes I will even come back and take that profile again and ensure that that is all matching up. Once you finish, take diagonal sections, back, comb the hair out straight from the head, and see if you're right on track. Now to do one final check to ensure we have a balanced 90-degree haircut. I think it's really good to start at the front. Pause it for 1 second. So now for the final check on the haircut. If you take horizontal sections through the top and hold them out and ensure you have that rounded shape, you will not see a real square line, but you will see the rounding to the head shape. See, as I go through, you'll see the rounding. I take them all the way through. Basically, you have your profile 1 inch. I'm taking at least 1.5 inches on each side and combing it up. And you see, when I pull that straight out from the head shape, that I have that nice rounding in the haircut. If I take diagonal backs all the way from the profile, from profile to profile, and hold this up and walk it around, you see I have nice rounding. Pull it straight out from the hair. Rounding. I'm seeing a little tag coming up by the ear, but I want to show you what we need to do. When we get to your last diagonal back, as you come around checking that, as you're holding it up, if you see a little piece that is going to be right over the ear, I want you to just lightly point cut that to diffuse that line. So you see right through there, just point cut that, and that will have the blending effect. Same thing on the right side. Rounding. The last section, straight out 90. Let's pull this up over the ear and see if we have a little piece we can lightly diffuse. There's not much there. Check just a little bit lower. Not much at all. So now you have your 90-degree cut. You take your mannequin, of course you do not want to do this at state board, but you can see how you don't see any squareness. As you roll this mannequin around, you see that this is a rounded shape in the haircut. You shake it a little bit, you see a nice long rounded layer. This can be done on short hair, but also it can be done on longer hair.